confidence in you.
What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Bryan Frizzell. Today we are taping an historic 18th and Vine Jazz District at the Lincoln Building, home of Cascade Media Group. Today's special guest grew up on the south side of Kansas City, Missouri, graduated from Ruskin High School, attended Missouri State University in Springfield, Missouri, where he majored in hospitality and restaurant administration. Background in, is it hospitality and
Marketing.
marketing? Fair enough. You also work with athletes. I grew up with this man in Stratford Estates. We're pleased to have him here today to comment on some recent topics that have made headlines and also let us know what he's been doing. What's up, Kansas City? Let's give a warm, special welcome to Mr. Jabali Johnson.
How's it going today?
What's going on? We have our What's Up Kansas City viewers out here today. What's up with this seesaw weather, man? To make you feel like getting out and throwing around a football?
Well, not too much. It's too cold to be throwing around a football. You know, when you're catching football, sometimes it hurts your fingertips a little bit, but it's still good weather to go work out in occasionally. I'm just ready for the spring to go ahead and hit in and get done with this other stuff. So the snow is not my vibe at all.
Snow is not your forte.
Not at all.
So you look like, man, you still try to at least keep in shape, hit the weight room right now. What's your max, man? You care to share?
Not particularly, but I'm going right about 245 right now. I'm a little bit on the light end. My playing days is long done, and sometimes it's hard to find that motivation when you're in the gym. But I can still 4 or 5 it every now and again if I need to. So
Light end. This man right here in high school, let me tell you, used to be a health fitness addict. Weight room, everything track and field. You still run the 40?
Yep, like I said, I can still run a 4 or 5 in there. But I tore my Achilles a few years ago, and that took a lot of my speed away. So, you know, still through constant training, still constantly working through my body and trying to get myself to the next level. Plus, I work with a lot of athletes. So when you work with athletes, you have to be able to demonstrate and show how to do it correctly. So I still able to work myself into a pretty good shape, you know.
Weight room addict. How about the mile? Do you run the mile?
Not too much. I don't run distance. You know, I was never a distance guy. I was always a sprinter. So I was never one person that would really do the miles and the 2 miles and that. And, you know, I know that's more your thing now that you on the treadmill and getting your 4.5 in, but that's not me. I'm more of a sprint and core because I believe every action that you do is more quickly. It's more about explosion than it is about endurance. Endurance is important and cardio is important, but the explosion is what I really focus on.
That's where those power clean exercises come in that you used to try to force me to do. All right, Mr. Johnson, let's get right in it. I read on your Facebook page, posted the other day, your comments regarding the recent shooting in the Kansas City Zoo parking lot.
Yeah.
So what's going on, man? City officials tried to open the zoo up for a free day to all residents, and this is what happened.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. That's really unfortunate because, you know, this people's livelihoods and their kids are at danger in that situation. And, you know, it's really because of a lot of people that's just really just wanting to show off in front of each other. And that's not too good in our community. That gives our community a very negative image. And we have a lot of good people in the community. I've been actually in a position where I worked at McCune, and these kids that they would say were at-risk kids were actually real good kids. They were just a little bit misguided. And really, if the focus is, if they need to change the city, in my opinion, needs to change their approach when dealing with these kids. I think they need to have an entertainment district for the youth, but not necessarily completely across town from the adults. Because if you have the adults and the youth together, the adults can simulate and mimic the actions that should be transpired to the kids. What happens is kids don't really necessarily have an image of what they see to be the correct social behavior. So as a result, they use television to figure it out. But when you figure it out with television, you get the dramaticism of everything. And so as a result, they just off the edge. But if you can get someone in the area, and these kids, they understand respect, they understand levels, they understand what they're doing, but they also understand that it's more popular to be a hood right now, you know, unfortunately, in our community, you know, from the rap songs to everything else. And I grew up in the rap community. So that's what makes it difficult. I mean, it was once upon a time where it was self-destruction, and you know, we talked about that 4 years later. It was riding down the streets, smoking indos, sipping on gin and juice, you know. So It's just about the
not the radio edit version, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's the transpire way things are going. We really need to start checking ourselves, and we need to put ourselves back in a better light.
Well, do we need to monitor what we send out, the messages we send out mass media-wise? I mean, growing up, were our parents ever afraid to drop us off because of the threat of violence or gunplay might exist nearby?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, kids are kids. When I was a kid, I did it too. I went into those same firestorms and understood what was going on. It was just I had enough sense to watch from a distance and not be in the middle of it. But, you know, kids are kids. The key is, when I went home, my parents would let me understand that, you know, what the difference was and what's reality and what's not reality. Sometimes some of our kids in our community go home and then they're re-taught them same things and them same images that they see because that's what is popular. And it's never popular to have your family in a desperate situation or a bad situation. It's never going to be popular. So we really need to look past that and just get our focus on what we need to have it on.
So what are your thoughts about teenagers congregating on the weekends in the plaza, showing up in large groups where merchants and shoppers both feel threatened? Is the plaza the ideal place for teenagers to hang out?
I mean, it's the plaza today.
Right.
When I was at that age, it was Westport.
Right.
And we got the same knock. We got the same consideration. They said, hey, they came and carted us. They said they was going to arrest us. But the difference is we wasn't out there fighting. We was just more out there hanging and socializing. But fights would occur as a result of that. So, and even back then, one thing that they did to stop us, Mayor Cleaver was very instrumental in giving us the Loop in the Swope Park to go have a place where we can all hang out and congregate.
What happened to the Loop, man?
It's Mexican field now. It's a place where they play soccer all day, you know.
Hasta luego.
Yeah, you know, that type of thing. So that was given to us originally. You know, that was one thing that we in Kansas City prided ourselves on. It got us off of Prospect from all hours of the night. We go to the park. You know, after the park, we go to our summer nights. We go to Loma Vista, but it was always something that kept us engaged and kept us involved. Now the kids don't have too much to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not too many nightclub, teen, bopper clubs. You know, it's not too much things going on to where people can just kind of understand and see the area and follow what they're supposed to do because it's not practiced anywhere. It's not emulated anywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, if it was me and if I had control of the city, I would block 18th and Vine off and just kind of similar to Beale Street. You know, because if you
Beale
look
Street in New Orleans.
Yeah, not down in Memphis.
Memphis.
Now,
Okay.
is it Memphis? That's Beale Street.
It might be.
Yeah,
We'll
right
do
by
some research.
Yeah, right by where not President, but Dr. King got shot.
Okay, that's Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis. They had closed their area off, and from 8 o'clock on, it was ID only into the area. But it was a place where it was. During the day, you would see kids out, it'd be people everywhere, out having drinks, out having a good time. The club district, it was like everyday pub crawl. But as a result, it produced a lot of money. And police area it was easy to manage by police. Put them every so many feet, and people was able to go out and have a good time. That's really what it's all about. At the end of the day, you want to be able to go out and have a good time and come home safely.
All right, I got a pretty good memory when it comes to certain places, times, and dates. I know, Mr. Johnson, you in high school, you definitely were devoted to your athlete calling. But when the weekend came, you were a party animal, man. You like to get out and party. I remember the last time I saw you in person, man. It was summer of 1999. I was home from college. It was at Roadhouse Ruby's. Okay. Is it Red House or Roadhouse?
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse Ruby's in Kansas, man. And you were looking to get your party on or whatnot. What type of experience was college for you, man?
College was a wild time. You know, college was a time in which I was an athlete. I pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. I had a lot of things going on, both personally and athletically. You know, I just got finished hurting my knee, and I was just getting myself kind of going through that little process and dealing with some things. So during college, I wilded out a little bit. You know, I was one of them I knew where the party was, and I knew how to get to it. I knew what was going on. I knew what the deals was. I also threw up several parties down there. But at the end of the day, I got my books done. And so people would come.
How was your GPA?
I was about a 3.0, right around there. I'll give forsaken some few. But I graduated right at 4 years of school. I didn't take a fifth year at all. Some people go there, be there 5, 6, 7 years. I was 4 years from the day that I walked out of high school. I was walking out of college.
The senior plan. Huh?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna waste too much time.
What were your highlights? Would you say?
The highlights, if I had to look at back all, we can talk about sports. We can talk about that. That really, to be honest with you, the highlights is the relationships with the people that I met during the course of that time. I was blessed to meet a lot of great people that opened up a lot of doors for me, and I can still blessed to say I'm calling friends to this day. People that I can call and I got 100% faith that they can get something done for me, or they have 100% faith that they can call me and I can get it done, because there's no missing. You got to be able to get all tasks completed in a timely fashion. Otherwise, it's no point on even getting involved in it.
Mr. Johnson, you've worked with young people. Do you encourage them to finish up their high school education and pursue higher education, college degrees, bachelor's degree?
Well, I definitely push education. Education, see, as you get a little older, you understand that different lines of education just means money. A person without a high school diploma, they're going to make very little money during the course of their lifetime. High school diplomas will make, 18 to 25 on average. Once you get your your associates, you're expecting between 22 to 25, 28 on average. As you go up, that bachelor's, you see 30s, that master's, you see 40s, 50s. That doctors, you see 60s, 70s, 80s, or whatever, and the scale keeps going up depending on your respective field.
Knocking on that door.
Yeah, so I always understand the value of education, but if you are a person that has more talent and you feel that education is slowing you down to some degree, I always believe that you should be able to have something intangible that you can be able to go and work on your everyday hustle. I have more of an entrepreneur spirit. Mm-hmm. My degree is in hotel and restaurant administration, but my company is Sideways Entertainment. Mm-hmm. And if somebody asks me what I do Sideways Entertainment. And the reason being is because that's my spirit. That's where my energy, and that's what I want to put my time and my effort towards. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go and work 30 years for somebody, invest in some financial aid guy, and then I'm looking at Bernie Madoff situation in 20 years. I want to be able to stand on my own regardless of the situation, and then that backup money that I do make my investments in and everything will be icing on the cake. But at the end of the day, it's always about how can you go out and invest in yourself, because some people don't invest in themselves. Some people invest in everything but what they need to invest in. It's a lot of people that will go out and will lose the focus of their group. Or, excuse me, let me go back. We'll have to do some editing a little bit too.
No editing. This is raw. This is how you see it. You said invest in yourself, invest in your community. That's part of the model here at Cascade Media Group.
But really, when I say that, let me kind of elaborate on what I say. Every person has so much that they can do. The key is to invest in yourself. The more energy that you invest in your own self, the better. Because, like for me, for instance, I'm a young kid from Kansas City, Missouri. Well, really, I'm from Dania, Florida, Lauderdale, Florida, and I've been here. Is
that near Miami?
Yeah, it's kind of in the Fort Lauderdale area. It's all that little suburb. Dania is where my grandparents grew up, or not grew up, but where my grandparents were. And Lauderdale was where we were. It was like 2 exits away. Anyway, I was an athlete. I've been playing football ever since I was 4 years old. When I got done playing football, the first thing I was able to say to the next person is, hey, this is what you're doing wrong when you're coming out of your stance. This is what you're doing wrong when you're coming out of your break. This is what you're doing when you're catching the ball. This is what the result of you dropping the ball. And the reason being is because I had so many years invested in my own ability to play this sport. So that information is still that information. Somebody else might not look at it the same, but that is still that information. And with that information, I can take it and I can give it to somebody else. And if I can give something to somebody else, that's a service. Anytime that I can invest a different service in myself and different things that I'm able to grow myself to, I can offer those services to somebody else for a nominal fee.
For a nominal fee. I knew we were running around the mountain. You were gonna come to that conclusion, that point. What challenges do we face after we graduate from high school? I mean, from college with our degree. We graduate with the BA or master's, and then what? What kind of challenges have you seen people face?
Well, a lot of people right now, a degree is in so much, but the experience. But when you come out of college, a lot of times they say, well, you don't have the experience. So you go and you seek the experience, and then they say, well, it's been so you go to whatever company, and then you work that company, and then they say, well, this has nothing to do with your degree.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've been working in this company for 6 years, and I have a degree. They don't look at it the same. They say, and then they pass you on to the next thing. So
Right.
now you end up shuffling at that same level without really ever seeing any real progression, and people lose focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always say invest in yourself, because if you invest your energy in yourself, you can always utilize something to make something happen for you and your family. Like, for instance, I use the example of football, but the same thing happens with my hospitality. My degree was in hotel and restaurant administration. I worked in marketing, I've worked in sales, I've worked doing auditing, I've worked doing everything, housekeeping, anything in the hotel. But the main thing that I got out of that whole experience was working with Hyatt Regency. They talked about the 10-5 rule. If you're 5 feet away from somebody, you start a conversation. If you're 10 feet away, you say hello, hi, and you look them in the eye. That right there taught me something about people. And it taught me how to identify people. It taught me how to talk to people and come out of my shell and address different people on different things, and really with a jokeful attitude and a jubilant attitude, you'd be surprised the people that you can get across to. So with that being the case, I was able to get to a point to where I was able to start my Sideways Entertainment, because it was about hospitality and helping people. It was about event planning. It was about putting people in place to where this contact can be made.
Mr. Johnson, for the last 2 weeks, we have been doing a special on the school board, interviewing certain Hickman Mills and Kansas City, Missouri school board candidates. Have you heard anything about what's been going on at Hickman Mills?
I haven't heard much, but that's something that's very
I know you
close
used to
to
sub
me.
in the
Yeah,
district.
I used to work in the district a little bit.
What are some of the things that you're seeing? What do our youth today need in order to successfully address their educational pursuits?
We need parents to be back involved, truthfully. But it's not only parents, because sometimes parents are walking into a situation where their kids are learning more advanced information than they learn. And we have some kids we have some parents nowadays that didn't really have access to computers growing up. Mm-hmm. These kids that are 4 years old and know how to work every app on your phone now. So the advancement. And
how has social media changed the relationship? Because when we were in school, cell phone and pager were dirty words now. Mm-hmm. And now it seems like every kid has access to a smartphone, a Facebook account, a Twitter account. How is that changing the landscape of education?
It changes everything, because now people download information into their phones and sneak it into class. And when we were in school, you had to hide your pager, if you remember.
Right. Certain teachers wouldn't play that.
Yeah, and if
detention, call home, your parents have to call back up for you to get your pager back.
Yeah, come on now. It was all that whole hassle behind it. So the situation now, a parent will snap on you for taking the kid's phone.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between, really, the big difference. The parents, as really what I see, is why a lot of these school districts are falling apart. When you came home from school, every day your parents would ask you, hey, did you get your homework done? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it done. You go outside, go play. Even though you was lying, you know how that goes. Then you come back home, and you come back with that midterm, and you got 2 Ds on your grade card. Well, we gonna make sure you sitting at home every day doing this homework.
That grade card didn't lie.
Yeah, so when that midterm came in, you had a lot of kids on the bus stop grabbing their hats, but like knowing they going home to something. They play it cool, but they going home to some trouble. Yeah. And so the mentality of the parents have changed. We have a lot of parents as friends more so than parents as parents. And I understand being a friend to your kids, that may be your best friend, but at the same time, your purpose is to guide that person's direction.
You have to draw a line.
Yeah, it has to be a line drawn in the sand. So it's all about giving direction. And I could be your best friend. One thing, when I was working in education, I focused on is, hey, this is nothing personal. My whole purpose is to help you get to your next level. If you mad at that, man, hey, that's cool. Just don't come in here. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't want me to help you get to your whatever your dream is, okay, just don't come in my area.
That's almost as bad as Mr. Heyman. It sounds like, man.
Yeah, but and I look back at people like Mr. Heyman. I used to act a fool in this class. I'm not gonna go into the words that I would typically say, but I mean, I really showed out in this class when I was a kid. But one thing I learned from him was, you can do it or you cannot do it. But at the end of the day, he's gonna get his check. And at the end of the day, it's either you're going to get the information or you're not. At the time, I was making choices to say, I don't want this information. I don't want this information. When I really should have been saying, yeah, this is information I need to get to the next level. There was a difference in philosophy and mindset. When you get to college, that's when your mind frame typically changes, because you start to see where it applies to your life. As you say, like my degree was hotel and restaurant administration. Originally, when I went into school, it was for physical therapy. I took a class, and they said, what we do is we work with people. This is bartending management. This is hospitality. This is marketing. This is that. I said, oh, y'all got bartending classes, huh? Easy money. I was thinking almost to the point. That's what they make, good money. They do this. Say, yeah, it's cats that work on Rush Street in Chicago that make $100,000 a year. It's people in Vegas that make $250,000 a year just bartending. I say, yeah, and they work limited hours. Oh, okay. Then 2 big planes flew into the World Trade Center, and that whole industry changed. But the industry that at the same time taught me, people is your main aspect. They're the main commodity. So if you can interact with people, if you can give them a service, if you can teach them the next level of their education, and it's not even about books, it's about just education and knowledge, then they can utilize you, and you'll always be beneficial to them. I think that's where the term hood rich is really derived from, because it goes from that one level to the next. And once you start to get a reputation in your community, it's not about money with him. He just wants to see you do better. Then things and blessings come your way.
Wow. Well, Mr. Johnson, in the next couple of months, we hope to have some educational experts to come on and talk about President Obama's recent initiative, My Brother's Keeper. Do you think that the president and his think tank will be successful in getting the message and resource out to neighborhood and classrooms where it matters?
See, this is the thing. The problem is not on a federal level. The problem is on a state and the individual level. The federal government, to me, in my opinion, they can't do too much besides fund money. Really, the federal government, in my opinion, they're gatekeepers for money, and gatekeepers for laws, and gatekeepers for the basic things. But the way that you get a change in your community, a change in everything that you do, is really from a grassroots perspective. You have to change your neighborhood first. The way that you change your neighborhood is by changing your house. Cleaning up the trash in the front yard and picking up what's around your house. That builds your community. Taking pride in your community and saying, hey man, don't do all that fighting and all that yelling and talking and beating music and all that stuff. Hey man, take that down the street. Just the fact that builds your neighborhood, your street. When you build your street, your neighborhood grows. When your neighborhood grows, your community grows, because it's more affluence there. It's more affluency there. It's more people taking pride in what they're doing. And it's more the schools, as a result, become higher. Because a teacher's job is to provide curriculum. A student's job is to receive the curriculum through any means, shape, or necessary. That's what tutors are for. That's what that whole industry and other people like that are there for. So it's about each one taking care of each other and growing the entire neighborhood.
Reach one, teach one.
Yeah, reach one, teach, and in that respect, I am my brother's keeper. But the problem is, we got people that will be at the very top level that's around President Barack Obama and everything, but those people never, by the time it trickles down to this community, it loses all the voice. It could start out as a great idea, But by the time it trickles down to each individual community, by the time it trickles down to the Miamis, by the time it trickles down to the Texas, the Houston, Texas, the Dallas, Texas, the spot where it's really going to Baltimore's of the country, the California places in California. By the time it trickles to those, it loses all its appeal. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, it doesn't really get to the next level.
Jabali Johnson for political elected office.
Put me on the ballot.
All right, man. I'm gonna write you in. You gonna accept the challenge?
All my people I know going out there write me in too. Maybe I get on the ballot somehow or another.
Okay, let's make the transition here. We have about 7 more minutes. Cascade Media Group is also home to Cascade Sports. I know you still are a big sports fan. Yes. So this is my education for the day. I showed up, I have my notebook, my pencil, my pad, I'm taking notes. According to Men's College Basketball Association press ranking, Florida with a number 32-2 record is still number 1. We're talking men's college basketball.
Yes, sir.
Is Florida your team?
No.
Florida's not your team. What's your team?
I'm a very big fan of Florida, and if you go by the numbers, Florida should win the national title. But I'm very impressed with Wiggins, and I think Kansas will be. See, the thing about this is when you come into the NCAA
Kansas, not Louisville.
Kansas is who I see.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. See, the thing when you come into a tournament like this is 2 factors I always pay attention to. One is that you have to have an excellent coach to make adjustments. And 2, you have to have a star player that can put the team on his back in critical moments. Mm-hmm. Kansas has both of those. Florida has excellent coach, and they have excellent players out there. Duke has excellent players, and Jabari Walker may be one of the best in the nation as well. But it's just something about that kid Wiggins that's just special, and you see it whenever he just at the beginning of the year you really didn't, but as the season went by, you just see him gaining confidence, and you just see him. And I'm very impressed with that. But I'm going to tell you the sleeper team of the NCAA tournament. Watch out for Baylor. Baylor's going to be tough.
The men's basketball team.
Yeah, Baylor's going to be tough.
Okay, all right.
I saw them at the Big 12, and they got a kid down there that's in the paint that's about 7 foot tall that was pulling 3-pointers, and that kid was impressive. I said, yeah, they can be tough in the tournament if they can go far.
Who's got your vote to take the NBA series right now?
To take the championship?
NBA championship.
Well, I'm a Heat fan, I'm South Florida.
Well, they are number 1. They are
South Florida. So until somebody takes the crown off of LeBron's head, he's got to be the king.
Okay. So Indiana's not any competition, or?
Oh, they're competition. They're a great team. They're escalated to the point to where I can see it happening.
What about San Antonio on the other side?
Well, San Antonio, they're getting older. One thing that really hurt the Pacers, in my opinion, was letting Danny Granger go. That was a big loss for them. But, let's just see what happens. They got Paul George still there. They got Hibbert down low. If Hibbert can hold his big lip up to his mouth and play some basketball, they might have a chance.
But you still are a diehard Heats fanatic. That is your team.
Oh, yeah,
right
most
now.
Definitely. It's always been my team.
All right, Mr. Johnson, let's transition quickly into football. Last year's postseason rankings for college football were Florida State, Auburn, Michigan State, South Carolina, and Missouri was number 5. College football, who are you going to be watching this year?
This year in college football, the team I like is Alabama. Well, because, of course, they reload every year. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be tough. Florida State will be right back in the mix because they play in the ACC, and it's not too hard to win in the ACC, especially these days. I was surprised by Missouri. I was one person that adamantly said it was a big mistake for Missouri to go to the SEC, and I had to eat my words a little bit this year. I didn't expect that rise to be that big. I was expecting them to turn out to be a Vanderbilt or an Ole Miss type of program that's middle of the road, good quality programs, but not able to take that step. They impressed me this year, though.
What about the Texas Longhorns? Are they?
Texas Longhorns is. I have to see what they do with the new coach. They've had a lot of issues with the new coach because alumni and everything. But I think he's an excellent coach. So.
Well, we were saying Alabama. And look out for Missouri because they threw in some surprises.
Missouri's going to be tough this year. And I know they graduated the guy Michael Sam and all them, who was Defensive Player of the Year. Speaking
Michael Sam.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll have jokes about that another time.
NFL, Mr. Johnson. Last year, the Chiefs went 11-5, rebuilding their team to recover from 2012 dismissal 2-14 record. We are currently reorganizing our offensive and defensive line. What do you think is in store for Alex Smith as he leads the team in 2014?
This is going to be a tough year. This is going to
No
be
doubt.
a very tough year. Last year,
It was tough just watching them.
Well, last year, Kansas City is kind of a town that rides and dies with its sports as far as football. Baseball, we used to back in the 80s when we had Frank White and George Brett and all that. We really rolled with the emotions of the baseball team then too. But, this has become a major football town. And it's going to be a rough year. But, we lost a few linemen. Brandon Albert's gone. And a lot of people said, well, he wasn't worth the money. He wasn't worth this. He wasn't worth that. Actually, I thought he played an excellent year. He just had that injury bug. So his loss would be big. Eric Fisher, maybe with the year development, maybe he'll get better. This is kind of where my expertise kind of goes into as far as with the Chiefs, because I'm a diehard Chiefs fan. We need a deep threat. We need a guy that can stretch the defenses. We need a nice receiver. I like that Odell Beckham Jr. I think he'll be a tremendous player for us. I think we need some more.
Odell Beckham, is he currently with them?
Yeah, no, he's the kid out of LSU.
LSU.
He's a deep threat, can return kickoffs. And he's tall. See, one thing about Dexter McCluster, he can get deep, but he was too little. A guy halfway running decent with him, 2 steps behind him, as little as he is, you're basically covered. So we need a guy that has a little bit of size, a little bit of range to complement Debo. See, Debo, a lot of people had bad feelings about Debo this past year. They said Dwayne wasn't catching the ball, then he got caught up with his little charge and everything. But to be honest with you, Debo played a great year this year. Numbers didn't reflect it, but if you really watch football and you really pay attention, he didn't have the miscellaneous drops that he had during previous seasons. He had a couple of them. He's not the greatest catcher, but he had a couple of games where he really stood up, playoff game in particular. He received a lot of double coverage. He received a lot of safeties rolling down on him. And he's only his body type and his style of receiver, he's only going to run 4 routes. He's going to run the slant. He's going to run the seam. He's going to run the out. He's going to run the skinny post. That's really the only thing, brother. And really, the seam and the skinny post is almost the same thing. The crossing route is really what I mean when I say that, the dig route. But you take him out of those elements and you roll a safety into it, he's covered. But you got to have somebody else on the other side to make the safety respect him and back up. If he doesn't back up, then your main guy is going to be covered every time. And that's why Donnie Avery started to kind of have some success until he kind of got the dropsies at the end of the season. But, if he gets back in there and catches some balls, we get another guy that can blow off the top of a coverage. I think the Chiefs can be pretty good as far as that's concerned. Jamal Charles is an animal.
How would you assess Alex Smith's performance? Is he that ride or die quarterback? Can he pull through in tight moments?
Honestly, I liked Alex Smith when he came out of college. I thought I was a big proponent of him because a lot of people talked about him he wasn't successful in San Francisco and this. I said, actually, he was very successful in San Francisco. He had like 7 offensive coordinators in the time that he's been there. He had several different head coaches. I mean, he went through his growing pains, very similar to Jason Campbell. And Jason Campbell, you see him come against Kansas City and light us up with Cleveland, So he was very similar background. I don't think he had the same opportunities. I think really the NFL is not about talent. Everybody has talent. It's about the opportunities that you put your players in.
Who's going to take the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl, I hate to say it, but Denver looking tough with a lot of those signs.
Denver's looking tough, huh?
They got a lot of good
Manning's
guys.
coming back.
But I think if Jared Allen signs with Seattle, that might be what puts them over the edge. They'll need another receiver to replace Brandon Tate, but Seattle will be tough. Denver will be tough. I like Baltimore rebounding now that they got Steve Smith to go on the opposite side of Torrey Smith. It'll be an interesting year.
Now, college football, you brought up Michael Sams. You played college football. Would you be able to accept a teammate who came to you and said, I'm a homosexual?
I'm going to be honest with you. It's homosexuals in every locker room. and across the nation, depending on regardless of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might not be as open.
Mm-hmm.
They might not say that yes, I am this, but they're in every locker room across the nation. As long as you can come out and you can play, as long as you don't come at me with any of the extra, we can keep it cordial. It's just like a business in the locker room. To be honest with you, I mean, it's a little bit more horse playing, a little bit more silly because you're bonding with people versus like if you were working at a regular job. But at the end of the day, you understand those lines and those boundaries. And when it comes to getting on the field and it comes to doing your job, you're expected to do your job.
So
if you can ball, you can ball.
It wouldn't be like Miami where you're teasing and taunting this person every day and making them stand up for his
space. That's one thing, though. You know, and really when looking into that situation more, I think that was perpetuated more than what was necessary. You know, in locker rooms, every locker room across the nation, you got your guys that's going to get ribbed. You got your guys that's going to be teased. You got your guys that's going to do everything, practical jokes. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. I think in that situation, after reading the text and kind of seeing what I saw of that presentation, he was questioning his performance before all this broke camp. So it seems a little fishy that a guy like Incognito would be thrown under the bus like that. But Incognito has a history of being a dirty player in the NFL. So, I mean, without being in the situation, you really don't say it. But to be honest with you, at that age and at that level, you are a grown man. And at some point in time, you need to be able to stand up for yourself and be like, hey, let's not go there. Let's not do that. If you're not man enough to do that and to address it in your locker room at that time without getting to the point that you need to take a leave of absence and all this other stuff, then that's an issue with you, not the person that's bullying you.
All right, Mr. Johnson. We have 20 questions, and I believe I have a couple more than 20. Let's take the next 5 minutes to do that, and then I'll give you final words.
Okay.
Last 5 minutes. Okay, let's see. Your best quarterback in the last 30 years.
Tom Brady.
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Jordan.
Dean Smith or John Thompson?
Dean Smith.
Stuart Scott or Stephen A. Smith?
Stewart was more objective.
Best rapper of all time?
Tupac.
Best rap album of all time?
All Eyes on Me.
Okay. Cash Money or No Limit?
I'm a No Limit guy, but I love Cash Money. Yeah.
So that's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah.
Best movie of all time?
What genre?
Let's go with action.
Best action movie of all time. I would have to say The Terminator.
Terminator?
T2, Terminator, The Judgment Day.
Okay, must have been talking to my cousin. Martin Lawrence or Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy.
Halle Berry or Angela Bassett?
Angela Bassett.
Spike Lee or John Singleton?
Spike.
Spike Lee or Tyler Perry?
Spike. I mean, Spike Lee and John Singleton for Tyler Perry.
Taraji Henson or Gabrielle Union?
Taraji.
Okay. CeCe Winers or Yolanda Adams?
Yolanda.
Greatest civil rights leader of all time?
Greatest civil rights leader of all time. My question, you know, the easy one to say is Martin Luther King, but I'm willing to put Malcolm up there just as high.
Okay, that's a thoughtful answer. Miami Hurricanes, next question. Stephen Walsh, Michael Irvin, or Vinny Testaverde?
Michael Irvin.
Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, or Puff Daddy and Mace?
Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Bart Simpson or Fred Flintstone?
Fred.
Vanessa Huxtable or Brenda Jenkins?
Vanessa.
Brandy or Monica?
Monica.
Best slow jam of all time?
2 occasions.
2 occasions, new deal.
About the deal.
Looney Tunes or Walt Disney?
Looney Tunes.
Atlanta or Chicago?
Chicago.
Billie Holiday or Whitney Houston?
Billie Holiday.
Best cartoon of all time?
Best cartoon of all time. Thundercats.
Denzel Washington or Samuel Jackson?
Denzel.
Barbecue or pizza?
Barbecue.
Cable TV or the internet?
Internet's taking over. But I'm still a cable guy. I actually internet because you can get what you want right then, right there.
NWA or Outkast?
Lyrically or just or
Best group. Lyrically, we have to. I would go. No, I'm not gonna.
Lyrically, you gotta say Outkast. Best group because of what they did and how far they took the elements of the industry. Some of it negative, but some of it positive. You gotta say NWA.
Wolf on Wall Street or Titanic?
Titanic.
Okay, last 6. Ruskin Gold Diggers or Chiefs cheerleaders?
Depending on the year.
Hampton or Fisk?
Hampton.
Rosa Fun or Disney World?
Disney World.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
Lynn Whitfield or Wendy Robinson?
Wendy Robinson.
Cedric the Entertainer or Steve Harvey?
I'm not a fan really of either, but I would go with Cedric the Entertainer.
Okay, man. So what are you doing currently? You know, you say you're doing something with hospitality.
Mm-hmm. Well, currently what I'm doing is I'm working with my company called Always Entertainment. Really what I'm doing is I'm focusing in on event planning for small businesses. If anybody, most small businesses don't have the departments to schedule out big time meetings, big time luncheons and things of that sort. So what they do is they hire me to coordinate meetings, to coordinate employee appreciation days, other things of that sort.
And that falls under entertainment?
Yeah, it's event planning basically. I've been doing that as well as I've been trying to set up some speed camps. So be on the lookout for a few speed camps. Working on athletes in the Kansas City area. I'm working on a group called the Elite 11, and where I'm working on getting different athletes, 11 athletes throughout the city, and it'll be a mentoring program to help them through high school and college. And really what I want to do is get them at the freshman year level that are promising athletes to keep them focused on sports and keep them focused on education, to follow them and give them preparation to help them with ACT prep, help them with getting through the NCAA standards and that type of thing. One thing about me is I was a D1 athlete that was a D1 recruit, looking to go to Iowa State when I came out of high school, but because of my actions as a freshman and early sophomore year, my GPA was very low. So I wasn't able to sign my scholarship because of the NCAA clearinghouse. So what I think I'm focusing on is trying to get these next level of kids that are promising athletes to be focused. Also, I know a couple other kids, I won't go into names, but that were excellent athletes that should probably be playing in the NFL right now. And when I was in college, I would say, the best athlete I played didn't even make it to college. So really, but this whole purpose will be to drive them to that next level, to get them their ACT prep, to get them higher grades in school, get them involved in different things in their school and in their community. Also do different community projects to lead them into their colleges and respective schools to help them get those D1 scholarships. Another thing I'm going to be also focusing on is like also some type of small events around the area. I got a couple people asking me to pushing me to do some art shows and a couple of things like that. But to be honest with you, I try to kind of stay away from the entertainment field so much because of the clientele that I'm used to dealing with is typically urban core. And I really love my community and I do what I do for my community, but because of issues like the zoo, it slows you down from being able to do some of the things because some of those doors get closed because of other issues that happen in the city. So right now, what my focus is just getting some of those doors back open and going to the next step and trying to put on some things for our people to enjoy.
Now, if you're a serious business looking for entertainment, if you're looking for someone to help sponsor a corporate luncheon, corporate exercises, I guess you could say retreat, how would they be able to contact you?
My number is area code 816-547-5257, or you can email me at japan2428@gmail.com. Japan was my line name in college.
Mr. Johnson has certainly been experienced trying to catch up with you, man. I hope that we'll stay in touch, man.
I hope so. This is a good guy right here. I hope that I'm wishing everything to be successful with your programming and everything, because I've seen you come up from a little guy trying to go to the weight room and growing on up, and even before the weight room. I remember seeing you going through Stratford and everything. So anything I can do to help you and benefit you in any way, shape, or form, never hesitate to give me a call.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Bryan Frizzell. Check out more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky's the limit. Aim high. Shoot for that moon. If you miss, at the very least, you would have landed among the stars. Take care until next time. All right.
What's up, Kansas City? I'm Brianna Garlington.
I'm Charles Williams.
And I'm Derek Parker.
And we are CMG.
CMG.
And we would like to welcome you to follow both websites. That's whatsupkansascity.net and cascadesports.tv.
Some of our programs consist of Are You Awoke?, Coach's Corner, and many more interviews, news, and blogs.
Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram at Cascade Media Group and Twitter at What's Up KC and Cascade Sports.
And remember, the victory we call success
Goes to the best prepared.
And when you invest in your community,
You are really just investing in yourself.
So don't just like it, share it.